My name is Catherine Wells, and I'm 70 years old. I raised my son Michael as a single mother after my husband died in military service when Michael was just 2 years old. I worked as a nurse for 43 years, putting Michael through college and helping him become the successful man he is today. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for standing in the middle of St. Augustine's Church last Saturday afternoon, watching my son's bride point directly at me and mouth the words, "Get out," during the ceremony. I'd arrived at the church 30 minutes early, wearing the elegant burgundy dress I'd spent 2 months searching for. The church was beautiful, white roses everywhere, candles glowing, soft music playing. I found my seat in the front row, right side, the traditional mother of the groom seat. The ceremony was about to begin. Guests were settling into their seats. The bridesmaids had just walked down the aisle. That's when I saw her, Amanda, the bride, standing at the back of the church in her stunning white gown, waiting for her cue to walk down the aisle. She was looking directly at me, and her face was twisted with anger. She lifted her hand and pointed at the door. Then she mouthed very clearly, "Get out now." I sat there, frozen. Surely I'd misunderstood. Surely the bride wasn't telling the groom's mother to leave during the actual wedding ceremony. But then she did it again, more emphatically, pointing at the door, her face red with anger. "Get out." Guests around me were starting to notice. People were whispering. The wedding coordinator rushed over to Amanda, clearly trying to calm her down. But Amanda wasn't having it. She pointed at me again, this time shouting loud enough for everyone to hear. "That woman needs to leave. She's not welcome here." 200 guests turned to stare at me. The mother of the groom, being ordered to leave by the bride, during the wedding ceremony. My son Michael appeared from the side room where the groomsmen had been waiting. He looked between me and Amanda, his face pale with panic. "Amanda, what are you doing?" he said, his voice carrying through the silent church. "She needs to leave, Michael. I told you I didn't want her here." Michael looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Not surprise at Amanda's behavior, just resignation, like he'd known this was coming. "Mom," he said quietly, "maybe you should." But I didn't let him finish, because I'd spent too many years sacrificing for my son to be kicked out of his wedding like an unwanted stranger. I stood up. All 200 guests watched me. Amanda looked satisfied, thinking she'd won. But I wasn't leaving. Instead, I did something that would change everything. Something that would expose secrets Amanda desperately wanted hidden. Something that would reveal exactly why Amanda didn't want me at that wedding. But before I tell you what I did, before I reveal what happened next, I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button. Click it right now. Then smash that like button, because this story is about to show you what happens when a bride tries to humiliate the wrong mother. Turn on those notifications, that bell icon, because you need to see what I did when my son's bride pointed to the door. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. What city? What state? What country? I want to know who's here with me today. Because what happened after Amanda told me to leave, nobody saw it coming. Especially not her. Now let me take you back to the beginning. Let me tell you how a mother who gave everything ended up being told to leave her own son's wedding. To understand what happened in that church, you need to understand my relationship with Michael and Amanda. I raised Michael alone after his father. My husband, James, was killed in action in Afghanistan when Michael was just 2 years old. I was 28, suddenly a widow with a toddler and a military death benefit that barely covered our basic needs. I worked as a nurse, starting on the night shift so I could be home with Michael during the day. I'd sleep 4 or 5 hours, wake up to get Michael to school, work all night, then come home to do it again. I made sure Michael had everything he needed: good schools, sports equipment, college prep courses. When he got into a good university, I took out loans to cover what scholarships didn't pay. Michael became a successful architect. I was so proud of him. He had a good job, made good money, and seemed happy. When Michael was 34, he met Amanda at a work conference. She was 31, beautiful, and from a wealthy family. Her father owned a commercial real estate development company. Her mother was a prominent attorney. The first time Michael brought Amanda to meet me, I knew something was off. We met for lunch at a nice restaurant, my treat, even though I couldn't really afford it. I wanted to make a good impression. Amanda walked in wearing designer clothes and looking at the restaurant like it was beneath her. This was one of the nicest places I could afford, and she clearly thought it was mediocre. "So, Catherine," she said after we'd ordered, "Michael tells me you're a nurse." "Yes, I've been a nurse for 40 years now. I work in pediatrics." "How nice. That must be exhausting, dealing with sick children all day." "It's rewarding. I love helping families through difficult times." "And you raised Michael alone?" "Yes, after my husband died in military service." "That must have been hard. Financially, I mean. Nurses don't make much, do they?" I felt the dig. She was making it clear that she thought I was poor, working class, not good enough. "We managed fine. Michael had everything he needed." "Of course," she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Michael turned out wonderfully despite everything." Despite everything, meaning despite me, despite not having money, despite not being from her world. I tried to connect with her. "So Amanda, tell me about yourself. What do you do?" "I'm in marketing. I work for my father's company." "That must be nice, working with family." "It has its advantages. Daddy's company is very successful. We work with high-profile clients." Everything she said was designed to emphasize the difference between us. Her wealth, her success, her sophistication. After lunch, Michael walked me to my car. "What do you think of Amanda?" I wanted to be honest. "She seems confident." "She's great, Mom, really great. I think she might be the one." "Michael, are you sure? She seems very focused on money and status." "That's just how she was raised. Once you get to know her, she's different." But over the next year, as Michael and Amanda's relationship got serious, I never saw that different side of Amanda. Every interaction was cold, distant. She'd correct my grammar. She'd make subtle comments about my clothes or my car or my neighborhood. When Michael proposed, I was happy for him but worried about what marriage to Amanda would mean. The wedding planning started immediately. Amanda wanted everything perfect, expensive, impressive. I offered to help. "Amanda, is there anything I can do? Help with planning or—" "No, thank you, Catherine. My mother and I have it handled. We have very specific ideas." "I'd love to be involved somehow. Maybe help with the rehearsal dinner." "Michael's groomsmen are handling that." "What about the guest list? I'd like to invite some family friends." "The guest list is finalized. We're keeping it intimate, just close family and our professional circles." I wasn't allowed to invite anyone. Not my sister, not my close friends, not the people who'd supported me through raising Michael alone. Then came the dress shopping incident. Amanda had invited me to go dress shopping with her and her mother. I thought it was an olive branch, a chance to bond. We went to an exclusive bridal boutique. Amanda tried on dress after dress, each one more expensive than the last. "What do you think of this one, Catherine?" she'd ask. "It's beautiful." "Just beautiful, not stunning, not perfect." "It's all of those things. You look lovely." But nothing I said was right. Amanda's mother would chime in with elaborate compliments, and I'd feel inadequate. Then Amanda tried on the dress, the one she eventually chose. It cost $15,000. "This is it," she squealed. "This is the one, Mom, what do you think?" "Darling, you look like a princess. That dress is perfect." Then Amanda turned to me. "Catherine, your opinion." "It's gorgeous. You look beautiful." "Just beautiful." "Amanda, you look absolutely stunning. That dress is perfect for you." She smiled, but it was cold. "Good. I'm glad you approve, even though you'll never be able to afford a dress like this." The comment hung in the air. Amanda's mother looked uncomfortable but said nothing. "I'm sorry," I said. "Oh, I didn't mean anything by it. Just that, you know. On a nurse's salary, this probably seems excessive." Amanda, that's uncalled for. Is it, Catherine? Let's be honest. You and I come from very different worlds. Michael has worked very hard to rise above his upbringing. I just want to make sure this wedding reflects the life we're building together, not the life he came from. I left the boutique in tears, called Michael that evening. Michael, Amanda said some hurtful things today. Mom, what happened? I told him about the comment, about being told that he'd risen above his upbringing. She didn't mean it like that. How else could she have meant it? Mom, Amanda comes from money. Sometimes she doesn't realize how things sound, but she's not trying to hurt you. Are you sure? Because it feels like she's trying to push me out of your life. That's not true. Mom, please, can you just try to get along with her? For me, this wedding is important. I swallowed my hurt, because I loved my son and wanted him to be happy. But things got worse. 6 months before the wedding, Amanda and Michael announced they were buying a house. A beautiful house in an exclusive neighborhood. We're so excited, Amanda gushed at a family dinner. It's 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, chef's kitchen, everything we wanted. That's wonderful, I said. When can I see it? Oh, we're not really doing house tour. We're very private about our space. I'm Michael's mother. Surely I can visit. Of course you can visit eventually, once we're settled and have everything decorated properly. We don't want people seeing it half-finished. People meaning me. I was being categorized as people, not family. 4 months before the wedding, I asked Michael about the ceremony details. Who's walking you down the aisle? Amanda's father is walking her down the aisle, obviously. No, I mean for your entrance. Who's escorting you to your seat? Traditionally, the mother of the groom is escorted by a groomsman. Mom, Amanda has specific ideas about the ceremony flow. She doesn't want to do the traditional mother escort thing. She thinks it's outdated. But that's the only formal recognition mothers get during the ceremony. You'll be recognized. You'll be in the front row. Will I at least be mentioned in the program? I don't think so. Amanda wanted to keep the program simple. No escort, no mention in the program, no involvement in planning, no guests I could invite. I was being systematically erased from my son's wedding. 3 months before the wedding, things came to a head. Amanda's parents hosted an engagement party at their country club. It was lavish, hundreds of guests, elaborate food, live band. I arrived wearing my best dress, a nice dress, but certainly not designer. I felt out of place immediately. Amanda greeted guests at the entrance with her parents. When I approached, she barely acknowledged me. Oh, Catherine, you're here. Of course, I wouldn't miss celebrating Michael and you. How nice. There's a guest book inside if you want to sign it. That was it. No hug, no warmth, just dismissal. During the party, I tried to mingle, but I didn't know anyone. Amanda's family and friends formed tight circles I couldn't penetrate. I found Michael. Can we talk? Not now, Mom. I need to make the rounds, meet Amanda's father's business associates. Michael, please. I feel invisible here. Mom, don't be dramatic. Just enjoy the party. How can I enjoy a party where I don't know anyone and nobody's talking to me? Maybe try harder to fit in. Those words hurt more than anything Amanda had said. My own son was telling me I wasn't trying hard enough to fit into a world that didn't want me. Later that evening, I overheard a conversation. Amanda was talking to her mother in a corner of the room. I just wish Michael's mother wasn't so dowdy. Did you see what she's wearing? It's embarrassing. Darling, she's from a different background. I know, and I've tried to be nice about it, but she doesn't fit into our life. And honestly, I don't want her constantly around after the wedding. She brings Michael down. What will you do? I'll find ways to limit contact. Holidays with my family, not hers. Sunday dinners with my parents. Keep her at arm's length. Michael will go along with it if I frame it right. I'd heard enough. Amanda was planning to cut me out of my son's life. I confronted Michael the next day. I heard Amanda talking to her mother. She's planning to keep me away from you after the wedding. Mom, You must have misunderstood." "No, Michael. I heard her clearly. She said I bring you down and she wants to limit my contact with you." "Amanda wouldn't say that." "She did say it. I heard her. And I need you to stand up to her. I need you to tell her that I'm your mother and I deserve respect." "Mom, you're overreacting. Amanda loves me. She'd never try to come between us." "She already is, Michael. Can't you see it?" "What I see is you being jealous that I'm getting married. You need to accept that Amanda is my future now." That conversation broke something in me. My son was choosing Amanda over me. He was accepting her plan to erase me from his life. 2 months before the wedding, I received the wedding invitation. I opened it with dread. The invitation was beautiful, thick cardstock with gold lettering. But when I read it, my heart sank. "Mr. and Mrs. Richard Lawrence request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter Amanda, Rose Lawrence, to Michael James Wells." No mention of me, just like the first invitation I'd received years ago at Daniel's wedding. History repeating itself. I called Michael. The invitation doesn't mention me. Amanda's parents are hosting, so their names are on it. But I'm your mother. Traditionally, both sets of parents are listed. Amanda didn't want it to look cluttered. "Cluttered? Michael, I raised you alone. I worked night shifts for years to give you opportunities, and I don't even get my name on your wedding invitation." "Mom, it's just paper. It doesn't mean anything." "It means everything. It means I'm being erased, and you're letting it happen." "I'm not letting anything happen. You're making a big deal out of nothing." "If it's nothing, then fix it. Have the invitations reprinted with my name." "They're already mailed. We're not reprinting 200 invitations because you're offended." "I'm not offended, Michael. I'm heartbroken." "Then maybe you need to examine why you're so sensitive. Amanda isn't doing anything wrong. You're just looking for reasons to be upset." I hung up before I said something I'd regret. The final straw came 1 week before the wedding. Amanda called me. She'd never called me directly before. "Catherine, we need to discuss something." "What is it?" "I need you to understand something about the wedding. This day is about Michael and me, not about you." "I understand that." "I don't think you do. You've been making everything about yourself, complaining about the invitation, demanding to be involved in planning, acting like the wedding is for your benefit. I've been asking for basic inclusion. And I've been trying to be patient. But Catherine, I need you to know, if you cause any drama at the wedding, if you make any scenes, if you do anything to take attention away from me, you will not be welcome in Michael's life going forward. Do you understand?" "Are you threatening me?" "I'm setting boundaries. Michael agrees with me, by the way. He told me to call you. He's tired of your behavior, too." "Let me talk to Michael." "He's not available, but he asked me to make things clear. You can come to the wedding. You can sit in your assigned seat, but you will not speak during the ceremony. You will not make toasts at the reception. You will not approach us during photos. You will be a quiet, invisible guest. Those are the terms." "And if I don't agree?" "Then don't come. Simple as that." She hung up before I could respond. I called Michael immediately. He didn't answer. I left a message. "Michael, call me. We need to talk about what Amanda just said." He didn't call back. For 3 days, I wrestled with what to do. Should I skip the wedding entirely? Show up and comply with Amanda's demands? Or do something else? I decided to go, because he was my son, and I wanted to be there for his wedding even if I wasn't wanted. But I wasn't going to be silent and invisible. Not anymore. The day of the wedding arrived. I dressed carefully in my burgundy dress. I drove to the church. I took my seat in the front row. And then Amanda saw me and pointed to the door and told me to get out. And I stood up. But I didn't leave. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I stood up in that church, all 200 guests staring at me. Amanda's hand was still pointed at the door, her face red with fury. Michael stood frozen between us, looking like he wanted to disappear. "I'm not leaving," I said clearly. My voice carried through the silent church. "Excuse me," Amanda's voice was shrill. "I told you to get out. And I'm telling you, this is my son's wedding. I'm his mother, and I'm staying." The wedding coordinator rushed over to Amanda, whispering urgently, but Amanda pushed her away. "Michael," Amanda shrieked, "tell your mother to leave right now." Michael looked at me with pleading eyes. "Mom, please, just go, we'll talk after." "No," I said it firmly. "Michael, I raised you alone. I worked night shifts for years. I took out loans for your education. I sacrificed everything so you could have opportunities. And now your fiancé is ordering me out of your wedding like I'm nothing, and you're going along with it." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Guests were whispering to each other. This was not the elegant ceremony Amanda had planned. "Catherine, you're making a scene." Amanda's mother, Patricia, stood up from the front row. "This is inappropriate." "What's inappropriate?" I said, my voice steady. "Is treating the groom's mother like an unwanted stranger. What's inappropriate is a bride who spent months trying to erase me from my son's life." "That's not true," Amanda protested. "I've been nothing but kind to you." "Kind? You told me I was embarrassing. You said Michael needed to rise above his upbringing. You planned to limit my contact with him after the wedding. I heard you tell your mother that I bring Michael down." Gasps from the crowd. Amanda's face went from red to white. "You were eavesdropping." "I was at a party you invited me to. You were talking about me 10 feet away. That's not eavesdropping." Amanda turned to Michael desperately. "Michael, are you going to let her talk to me like this, on our wedding day?" Michael looked torn, completely torn between his mother and his bride. "I made the decision for him. I'll make this easy for everyone," I said. "I'm going to sit down right here in my seat. If you want to have your wedding, Amanda, you can have it. But I'm not leaving. If that's a problem for you, then maybe you should think about why having your groom's mother present is such a threat to you." I sat back down. Amanda looked like she might explode. "This is my wedding, mine. You don't get to make demands." "I'm not making demands. I'm simply refusing to leave my son's wedding ceremony." The priest, who'd been standing at the altar looking confused and uncomfortable, finally spoke up. "Perhaps we should take a brief pause. Let everyone collect themselves." "No," Amanda was almost hysterical now. "I want her out. Michael, if you don't make your mother leave right now, there's not going to be a wedding." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Michael stared at Amanda. "What did you just say?" "You heard me. It's her or me. Choose." I felt my heart breaking. This was what it had come to. Amanda was forcing my son to choose between his bride and his mother in front of 200 people. Michael looked at me, then at Amanda, then back at me. "Mom," he said quietly, "I'm so sorry." Here it comes, I thought. He's going to ask me to leave. He's going to choose Amanda. But then Michael said something that shocked everyone. "I'm sorry for not standing up for you sooner. I'm sorry for letting Amanda treat you this way. And I'm sorry it took her giving me an ultimatum in the middle of our wedding to finally see what's been happening." He turned to Amanda. "We're not getting married today." The church erupted. Guests were talking loudly. Amanda's bridesmaids gasped. Amanda herself looked like she'd been slapped. "What? Michael, you can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. Amanda, you just forced me to choose between you and my mother. The woman who raised me alone, who sacrificed everything for me, and you thought I'd choose you. After watching you spend months treating her like garbage." "I haven't." "Yes, you have, and I let you because I was weak, because I was dazzled by your family's wealth and status, because I wanted to fit into your world. But my mother just showed more strength in 5 minutes than I've shown in 2 years. She stood up for herself. She refused to be bullied, and I'm done pretending that's wrong." Amanda was crying now. "Michael, please, I love you. We can work this out." "Can we? Because 5 minutes ago you told me to kick my mother out of my wedding. That's not love, Amanda. That's control." Amanda's father, Richard, stood up. "Now wait just a minute. You're throwing away your marriage over this, over a little wedding day stress." "This isn't stress, Richard. This is who Amanda really is. And I'm not marrying someone who treats my mother, who treats anyone with such disrespect. Michael, Amanda was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I was just nervous. I didn't mean it. Please, we can still have the wedding, your mother can stay, please. Michael looked at her for a long moment. 2 minutes ago, you were ready to call off the wedding if I didn't make my mom leave. Now you want to go forward, because I called your bluff. I was upset. I wasn't thinking clearly. You were thinking very clearly. You were thinking that you could control me, that you could force me to choose between you and my mother, and I'd choose you. And when I didn't, suddenly you're sorry. Michael, everyone's watching. Can we please just talk about this privately? No, you made this public when you pointed at my mother and told her to get out. You made this public when you gave me an ultimatum in front of 200 people. So we're finishing it publicly. He turned to face the guests. I apologize to everyone for the disruption. There's not going to be a wedding today, but there will be a reception at the hotel. The food is paid for, the bar is open. Please go and enjoy yourselves. My mother and I will be there shortly. Then he walked over to me. Mom, let's go. I stood up, my legs shaking. Michael offered me his arm, and we walked down the aisle together, past the stunned guests, past Amanda sobbing in her mother's arms, past the bridesmaids and groomsmen standing there in shock. As we reached the door, I heard Amanda shriek. You'll regret this, Michael. You're nothing without my family, you hear me? Nothing. Michael paused at the door. Without turning around, he said loudly, I'd rather be nothing than be with someone who treats my mother like she's beneath us. Then we walked out of the church into the bright afternoon sunlight. In the parking lot, Michael stopped and turned to me. His face was pale, but his jaw was set with determination. Mom, I'm so sorry for everything, for the past 2 years, for letting Amanda treat you that way, for not standing up for you. Michael. No, let me finish. You were right about Amanda, about everything. She was trying to push you out of my life, and I was letting her because I was ashamed. Ashamed of what? Of where we came from, of not having money, of you being a nurse instead of a lawyer or a CEO. Amanda made me feel like our background was something to be embarrassed about, and I bought into it. I'm so sorry, Mom. I pulled him into a hug. You stood up for me, finally, that's what matters. We stood there in the parking lot, the groom in his tuxedo, the mother of the groom in her burgundy dress, while inside the church, chaos continued. What happens now? I asked. Now, I don't know, I just called off my wedding. I'm probably about to lose my job. Amanda's father is a major client of my firm. I might lose my house. Amanda and I bought it together. But Mom, I don't care, because I just got my self-respect back. My phone started ringing, then Michael's. We ignored them. Should we go to the reception? Michael asked. That depends. Do you want to? Actually, yes. I want to go have a drink and decompress. And I want you there with me, properly, not hidden away at a back table. We drove separately to the hotel. When we arrived, guests were already there. Some had left the church immediately, eager to see what would happen next. The hotel's grand ballroom was decorated beautifully for a reception that would never happen as planned. White roses everywhere, elegant table settings, a beautiful cake that would never be cut by the happy couple. Michael and I walked in together. Guests turned to stare. Some looked sympathetic, some looked scandalized, some looked fascinated by the drama. Michael went straight to the bar. 2 whiskeys, please. Actually, make it 3. It's been that kind of day. We found a table and sat down. Within minutes, people started approaching us. First was Brian, one of Michael's groomsmen and his best friend since college. Dude, that was the most insane thing I've ever seen. And honestly, I'm proud of you. You are. Yeah, I've been watching Amanda treat your mom like crap for 2 years. I kept wanting to say something, but it wasn't my place. What you did back there, that took guts. Or stupidity. Maybe both, but it was the right thing to do. More people came by. Some offered support. Some seemed to be there just for the gossip. Then Amanda's cousin Jessica approached. She looked uncomfortable. Mrs. Wells, I wanted to apologize for my cousin's behavior. I was horrified by what happened at the church. Thank you, dear. I need to tell you something. Amanda's been talking about you for months, saying terrible things. How she was going to phase you out after the wedding. How Michael needed to upgrade his family connections. It was awful. Some of us tried to tell her she was wrong, but she wouldn't listen. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved better, and because I hope Michael realizes he dodged a bullet. After Jessica left, more of Amanda's family and friends came by. Some apologized. Some defended Amanda. Some just wanted to see the drama up close. But the most surprising visitor was Amanda's mother, Patricia. She approached our table cautiously. "Catherine, Michael, may I speak with you?" "Of course," I said, though I was wary. Patricia sat down. She looked tired, older than her 55 years. "I owe you both an apology, especially you, Catherine. I've watched my daughter treat you terribly for 2 years, and I said nothing. I told myself it wasn't my place to interfere, but I should have said something." "Why didn't you?" I asked. "Because Amanda is difficult. She's always been difficult. Strong-willed, demanding, convinced she's right about everything. And as her mother, I took the path of least resistance. I didn't challenge her because it was easier not to." "That doesn't excuse." "I'm not making excuses. I'm explaining. Catherine, you showed incredible strength today. You refused to be bullied. You stood your ground. And you showed my daughter that she can't always get her way by throwing tantrums." "Where is Amanda now?" Michael asked. "At home with her father. She's devastated, humiliated, angry. But Michael, I need you to understand something. She hasn't learned anything from this. Right now, she's the victim in her own mind. You're the villain who embarrassed her. Your mother is the villain who ruined her wedding. Amanda doesn't see her own role in what happened." Then I made the right decision. "You did, and I'm sorry it took this long for someone to stand up to her. As her mother, I failed to teach her basic human decency. That's on me." Patricia stood to leave, then paused. "Catherine, I hope you know not everyone in Amanda's family shares her views. Some of us have tremendous respect for what you've done. Raising a child alone, working hard, putting your son through school, that's admirable. Amanda was wrong to look down on you, and I was wrong to stay silent." After Patricia left, Michael and I sat in silence for a while. "What a mess," Michael finally said. "It's a mess, but it's an honest mess. Better than a beautiful lie." We stayed at the reception for another hour. Some guests left quickly. Others stayed, treating it like a regular party. The food was good. The bar was open. And slowly, the shocked atmosphere turned into something almost festive. "This is the weirdest non-wedding I've ever been to," Brian said, joining us with his girlfriend. "But honestly, it's kind of great. All the fun of a wedding reception without the boring ceremony and speeches." "Glad someone's enjoying it," Michael said dryly. "Dude, half your groomsmen are relieved. We all knew Amanda was wrong for you. We were just waiting for you to figure it out." Late in the afternoon, as the reception was winding down, Michael's phone rang. He looked at the screen and showed it to me. "It's Amanda." "Are you going to answer?" "Should I?" "That's up to you." He answered, "Hello." I couldn't hear Amanda's side, but I could hear her tone. Frantic, pleading, desperate. "Amanda, slow down, I can't understand you." More frantic talking. No, we're not going to work this out. What happened today wasn't a misunderstanding. It was you showing your true colors." More talking, Amanda's voice getting louder. "It doesn't matter if you apologize. An apology doesn't change who you are. You tried to force me to choose between you and my mother. You lost." Amanda's voice was screaming now. I could hear her even from across the table. "I'm hanging up now. Please don't call again." Michael ended the call and immediately blocked her number. "That's that, I guess." "How are you feeling?" I asked. "Honestly, relieved. Scared about what comes next, but relieved. Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "How did you do it? How did you stand up to her like that? After 2 years of taking her abuse, how did you suddenly find the courage to refuse to leave?" I thought about that. Because I realized something when she pointed at that door. She was asking me to erase myself, to disappear, to act like I didn't matter. And I've spent my whole life mattering. I raised you. I worked hard. I survived your father's death and built a life for us. I'm not going to let anyone, not Amanda, not anyone, make me feel like that was worthless. I wish I'd realized that 2 years ago. You realized it when you needed to. That's what matters. We left the reception around 5 p.m. As we walked to the parking lot, Michael said, "Mom, can I come stay with you for a few days? I don't want to go back to the house. Not yet." "Of course, you always have a home with me." That evening, we ordered pizza and sat in my small living room. The living room where I'd raised him, where we'd celebrated his successes and weathered his disappointments. "This is nice," Michael said. "I'd forgotten what it feels like to just be comfortable in my own skin, not trying to impress anyone or fit into some image." "That's what Amanda did to you, made you forget who you were." "Yeah, but never again." My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "This is Richard Lawrence, Amanda's father. What happened today was disgraceful. You should be ashamed of yourself for ruining my daughter's wedding. Michael will regret this decision. We'll make sure of it." I showed the text to Michael. "Great, threatening messages from my almost father-in-law. This day just keeps getting better." "What does he mean? We'll make sure of it." "Probably that he'll try to get me fired. His company is one of my firm's biggest clients. He has leverage." "Will they really fire you over this?" "I don't know, maybe, but Mom, if they do, I'll find another job. I'll be okay." We spent the rest of the evening watching old movies and not talking about the wedding. It was exactly what we both needed. But I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over, that Amanda and her family weren't going to just let Michael walk away. And I was right. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The next morning, Michael's phone started ringing at 7 a.m. He ignored the first few calls, but they kept coming. Different numbers, over and over. Finally, he answered one. "Michael Wells." I watched his face change as he listened, from groggy to alert to angry. "What? When did this happen?" More listening. "That's not true. That's completely fabricated. Who told you that?" His voice was rising now. "I understand. Yes, I'll come in tomorrow to discuss it. Thank you for calling." He hung up and sat down heavily on my couch. "That was my boss. Amanda's father called the senior partners this morning, told them I'd been having an affair. That's why I called off the wedding, because my mistress threatened to expose me if I married Amanda." "That's insane. You weren't having an affair." "I know that. You know that. But Richard Lawrence is a powerful man with a major account, and he's telling anyone who will listen that I'm a cheater and a liar." "Can't you prove it's not true?" "How? By proving I wasn't somewhere. That's nearly impossible. Mom, this is a smear campaign, and it's just getting started." He was right. Over the next few hours, more calls came in. Friends, colleagues, distant relatives, all asking about the affair. Amanda had posted on social media. "Heartbroken to discover the man I loved was living a double life. Thank you to everyone for your support during this difficult time. Sometimes you don't know someone as well as you thought. Betrayed but not broken, truth wins." The post had hundreds of comments, most supportive of Amanda, some calling Michael terrible names. Michael showed me the post, his hand shaking. "She's making herself the victim, telling everyone I cheated. None of this is true, but people believe her." "Can you post your side of the story?" "And say what? I called off the wedding because my fiancé tried to kick my mother out during the ceremony. People will think I'm the unreasonable one." He was probably right. In Amanda's version, she was the wronged party, the beautiful bride betrayed by her unfaithful groom. It was a story people wanted to believe. By afternoon, the situation had escalated further. Michael received an email from his firm. "Dear Michael, due to serious allegations regarding your personal conduct and the potential impact on client relationships, We are placing you on administrative leave effective immediately. Please do not come to the office tomorrow. We will be in touch regarding next steps." "They suspended me," Michael said, his voice hollow. "Richard Lawrence made one phone call and they suspended me." "Can they do that without proof?" "They can do whatever they want. I'm an at-will employee, and Richard's company brings in millions of dollars a year. I'm expendable." I felt rage building inside me. Amanda and her family weren't just attacking Michael's reputation, they were destroying his livelihood. "This is retaliation, for you standing up to them." "Of course it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. They have money and power and connections. I have nothing." "You have the truth." "The truth doesn't matter when the other side controls the narrative." That evening, things got worse. Michael received a text from his mortgage company. "Mr. Wells, we've been contacted by Amanda Lawrence regarding the property at 847 Westwood Drive. As a co-owner, Ms. Lawrence is requesting information about buyout options or forced sale procedures. Please contact us at your earliest convenience." "She's trying to force me to sell the house," Michael said, "or buy her out, which I can't afford without my job." "Can she do that?" "We're both on the deed. If she wants out, we either have to agree on terms or the court can force a sale. And with her father's lawyers, I'll lose." Everything was falling apart. Michael's job, his house, his reputation, all because he'd stood up for me. "Michael, this is my fault. If I hadn't insisted on staying at the wedding." "Stop. This is not your fault. This is Amanda showing who she really is. A vindictive, cruel person who can't accept being told no." "But you're losing everything." "I'm losing things, material things. Jobs and houses and reputations can be rebuilt. But I got something back that's worth more than all of that." "What?" "My integrity, my self-respect, my relationship with you. Those are the things that actually matter." The next morning, I woke up to my own phone ringing. An unknown number. "Hello. Is this Catherine Wells?" A woman's voice, professional. "Yes, who's calling?" "My name is Jennifer Martinez. I'm a reporter with Channel 7 News. I'm doing a story about what happened at the Lawrence Wells wedding this weekend. Would you be willing to comment?" "How did you get my number?" "We have sources. Mrs. Wells, we've heard several different versions of what happened. Amanda Lawrence's family claims your son called off the wedding due to infidelity. But we've also heard from wedding guests that there was an altercation at the ceremony involving you. We'd like to hear your side of the story." "I have no comment." "Mrs. Wells, please. Right now, the only narrative out there is the one Amanda's family is pushing. Don't you want people to know the truth?" "The truth is between my son and his former fiancé. I'm not interested in a media circus." "With all due respect, you're already in a media circus. Amanda's story is trending on social media. Reporters are calling everyone who was at that wedding. The story is coming out whether you participate or not. Don't you want to make sure it's accurate?" I hesitated. She had a point, but talking to the media felt wrong. "I need to think about it." "I understand. Here's my number. If you change your mind, please call me. We're airing the story tomorrow evening regardless. I'd hate for your perspective to be missing." After I hung up, I told Michael about the call. "The media is involved now. Great, just great. She said Amanda's version is already trending, that everyone believes you cheated." "Let them believe it. I don't care what strangers think." "But Michael, your career, your reputation is already destroyed. Talking to reporters won't fix that. It'll just make things more sensational." He was probably right, but I couldn't shake the feeling that staying silent was letting Amanda win. That afternoon, I received an unexpected visitor. Patricia Lawrence, Amanda's mother, showed up at my door. "Catherine, I hope I'm not intruding." "What do you want, Patricia?" "To warn you, and to apologize." I let her in, though I was wary. "My husband and daughter have launched a full campaign against Michael. The affair allegations, the pressure on his firm, trying to force the house sale, it's all coordinated. Richard has called in favors with every business contact he has. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm ashamed. I've watched my family become vindictive bullies and I've done nothing to stop it. Catherine, Amanda is my daughter and I love her, but she's wrong. What happened at that wedding? Michael was right to call it off. Amanda tried to force him to choose and she lost. But instead of accepting that, she's trying to destroy him. Can you stop them? I've tried. I told Richard this is going too far, but he's always protected Amanda, always given her whatever she wanted. He can't accept that she's facing real consequences for her behavior. So why are you here? To warn us that it's going to get worse. Partially, but also to offer help. I have connections too, not as many as Richard, but some. I've already made calls to 2 senior partners at Michael's firm, people Richard doesn't know. Told them the truth about what happened. Told them Michael didn't have an affair, that Amanda is lying out of spite. Will they believe you? I don't know, but I had to try. Catherine, I know I can't undo the damage my family has caused, but I can at least not be complicit in it anymore. After Patricia left, I told Michael about the conversation. Amanda's own mother is trying to help us. This whole situation is surreal. She feels guilty, as she should. It won't be enough, though. Richard Lawrence has too much power. He's going to keep coming after me until there's nothing left. Then we fight back. How? We don't have money or connections or... We have the truth, and we have witnesses. 200 people saw what happened at that wedding. Not all of them are on Amanda's side. You want to go public? I want to stop letting Amanda and her father control the narrative. Michael thought about it. If we go public, it gets messier. Our lives become entertainment, every detail scrutinized. Our lives are already entertainment. At least this way, we get to tell our side. The next morning, I called Jennifer Martinez back. Ms. Martinez, this is Catherine Wells. I'm ready to talk. Wonderful. When can we meet? Today, and I'd like to bring my son Michael, but we have conditions. What conditions? We want to tell the full story, not sound bites edited for drama, the whole truth about what happened and why. I can work with that. Let me check with my producer. By afternoon, we were sitting in my living room with Jennifer Martinez and a camera crew. Jennifer was professional, sympathetic. I want you to know I've spoken with several wedding guests off the record. I know Amanda's version doesn't match what actually happened. This is your chance to set the record straight. Michael took a deep breath. Where do you want me to start? Start with the ceremony. What happened when Amanda told your mother to leave? Michael told the story, everything. Amanda pointing at me, ordering me out, his decision to call off the wedding, the reception, the aftermath. Then I told my side, the 2 years of being excluded, the comments about my background, the overheard conversation about pushing me out of Michael's life, Amanda's phone call threatening me if I caused drama at the wedding. Do you have proof of any of this? Jennifer asked. I have text messages, I said, from Amanda from the week before the wedding. I showed Jennifer my phone, the threatening messages Amanda had sent. Jennifer's eyes widened. Can we use these on camera? Yes. Jennifer interviewed us for over an hour, about our relationship, about Amanda's treatment of me, about Michael's decision to choose his mother over his bride. Why did you make that choice? Jennifer asked Michael. In that moment, standing at the altar, why did you side with your mother? Because she showed me something I'd forgotten. She showed me that you don't let people bully you, that you stand up for what's right even when it's hard. My mother raised me to have integrity, and somewhere along the way, I'd lost that. Amanda's ultimatum forced me to choose, become the kind of person who abandons his mother, or become the kind of person who stands up for what's right. When I put it that way, there was no choice. After the interview, Jennifer said, "This is powerful stuff. When it airs tomorrow night, people are going to see a very different story than the one Amanda's been telling." Will it help? Michael asked. Will it stop her father from destroying my career? I can't promise that, but it'll show the truth, and sometimes that matters more than we think. The interview aired the next evening. Jennifer had titled it, "Wedding Called Off, the Mother-in-Law Who Refused to Leave." Within an hour of airing, my phone was flooded with calls and texts. Michael's too. Some were supportive. "You did the right thing standing up for yourself." Some were critical. "You ruined your son's wedding over your hurt feelings." But the overwhelming response was support. People who'd experienced similar situations with in-laws. People who admired us for speaking out. People who were disgusted by Amanda's behavior. The interview went viral. Within 24 hours, it had been shared thousands of times on social media. Amanda's original post about Michael's alleged affair was being questioned. "Wait, he didn't cheat. The bride tried to kick his mother out and he defended her. This is totally different from what Amanda said." Amanda Lawrence is a spoiled brat who got called out and couldn't handle it. Michael Wells is a good son. Respect for standing up for his mom. But the backlash against Amanda also became intense. Too intense. Amanda Lawrence is trash. Someone should teach this entitled brat a lesson. Amanda's behavior is disgusting. She deserves everything bad that happens to her. I started feeling uncomfortable. We'd wanted to tell our truth, but we hadn't wanted to unleash a mob on Amanda. "Michael, this is getting out of hand." "I know, people are taking it too far." 2 days after the interview aired, Amanda posted a new message on social media. "I made mistakes. I was wrong to ask Catherine to leave the wedding. I was wrong to spread rumors about Michael having an affair. I was hurt and angry and I lashed out in the worst possible way. I'm sorry. To Michael, to Catherine, and to everyone I hurt with my lies. I'm taking a break from social media to work on myself. I hope someday you can all forgive me." It was the first time Amanda had taken any responsibility for what happened. "Do you think she means it?" I asked Michael. "I don't know, maybe. Or maybe she's just trying to stop the backlash." "Should we respond?" "No, let her apology stand on its own. We've said what we needed to say." 3 days after the interview, Michael got a call from his firm. "Michael, this is Robert Chen, senior partner. I need you to come in tomorrow morning. We need to talk." Am I being fired? "Just come in tomorrow, 10 a.m. Michael barely slept that night. He was convinced he was about to lose his job permanently. The next morning, I drove him to his office. "Do you want me to come in with you?" "No, I need to handle this myself. But thank you, Mom, for everything. Call me when you're done." He was gone for 2 hours. I sat in the parking lot, anxious, checking my phone every few minutes. Finally, he emerged from the building. I couldn't read his expression. He got in the car. "Well, they're not firing me." "What?" "Robert Chen said they've reviewed the situation. Multiple partners watched our interview. They spoke with Richard Lawrence and told him that suspending me based on false allegations was inappropriate. They're reinstating me, full back pay for the suspension." "That's wonderful." "There's more. Richard Lawrence pulled his company's business from the firm. Said if they kept me employed, he'd take his millions elsewhere." "Oh no." "But the partners chose me over his business." Robert said, and I quote, "We don't cave to bullies, no matter how much money they have." I started crying. "Michael, that's incredible." "They also said," his voice caught with emotion, "they said they were impressed by my integrity. That standing up for my mother showed character they value in their employees." We sat in that parking lot and cried together. After days of everything falling apart, something had finally gone right. But the biggest surprise came that evening. Michael received a call from an unknown number. "Hello." "Michael, this is Amanda." He put her on speaker so I could hear. "What do you want, Amanda?" "I wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry. Not the public apology I posted, that was my PR person's idea. This is just me. I was awful to you, to your mother, and I'm sorry." "Okay." "I've been in therapy every day since the wedding, and I'm starting to understand how toxic my behavior was, how entitled and cruel I've been. Michael, I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted you to know I'm going to drop the house thing. You can buy me out when you're ready, no pressure, no forced sale." Why? Because it's the right thing to do. And because I need to start doing right things instead of vindictive things. After she hung up, Michael looked stunned. Did that just happen? I think Amanda might actually be changing. Or she's just trying to salvage her reputation after the interview made her look bad. Maybe both. 2 weeks after the non-wedding, life started to settle into a new normal. Michael moved back into his house. He returned to work. The media attention faded. But one evening, Michael came over to my house looking serious. Mom, I need to talk to you about something. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, I've been thinking a lot about everything that happened, and I realized something. What? You saved me. Michael. No, listen. If you hadn't stood up for yourself at that wedding, I would have married Amanda. I would have spent years, maybe decades, in a marriage with someone who didn't respect you, who would have slowly pushed you out of my life, who would have made me into someone I didn't recognize. You stood up for yourself, too. Only after you showed me how. You refused to leave. You refused to be erased. You chose your dignity over keeping the peace, and that choice saved us both. He pulled out an envelope. I wanted to give you this. Inside was a check for $50,000. Michael, what is this? It's for everything. For all the years you worked night shifts. For the loans you took out for my education. For the sacrifices you made. I can't repay everything you've done, but this is a start. I don't want your money. I know, but I want you to have it. Mom, you mortgaged your future for mine. Let me give you some of that future back. I started crying. Again. I'd cried more in the past 2 weeks than in the past 2 years. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for not leaving that church, for standing up for yourself, for showing me what real strength looks like. We spent the evening talking about the wedding, about Amanda, about what came next. Do you think you'll ever get married? I asked. Maybe, someday. But next time, I'll make sure I'm marrying someone who respects you. Someone who values where we come from instead of being ashamed of it. I just want you to be happy. I am happy, Mom. For the first time in 2 years, I'm actually happy. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. 6 months after the non-wedding, life had found a new rhythm. Michael was thriving at work. His principled stand had actually earned him respect from colleagues and new clients who appreciated his integrity. He'd bought out Amanda's share of the house with money from a small inheritance from his late grandfather that had matured. And most importantly, our relationship was stronger than it had ever been. But the story wasn't quite finished yet. One Saturday morning, I was having coffee when my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Amanda standing on my porch. She looked different. Her hair was simpler, less styled. She wore jeans and a plain sweater instead of designer clothes, and her face held something I'd never seen before, genuine humility. Catherine, I know I'm probably the last person you want to see, but I was hoping we could talk, just 5 minutes. Every instinct told me to close the door, but something in her eyes made me pause. 5 minutes. We sat in my living room, the same room where Michael and I had celebrated his decision to call off the wedding. I've been in intensive therapy, Amanda began, 3 times a week for 6 months, and I've learned some hard truths about myself. I was raised to believe that money and status made me better than other people, that my family's wealth gave me the right to look down on anyone who had less. I know. But what I didn't understand, what I'm only now starting to understand, is how cruel that made me, how much pain I caused. Catherine, I treated you abominably. I looked at you and saw only what you didn't have: money, connections, status. I never saw what you did have: strength, integrity, genuine love for your son. Why are you telling me this now? Because my therapist asked me to do something. She asked me to make genuine amends to the people I've hurt, not public apologies for my image. Real, face-to-face acknowledgement of what I did wrong and how it affected people. Go on. I tried to erase you from Michael's life because you reminded him of a background I was ashamed of. I wanted Michael to be someone he wasn't, someone from my world with no history of struggle or working-class roots. But the truth is, everything good about Michael came from you. His work ethic, his kindness, his integrity. Those were all things you taught him, and I tried to take those things and claim credit while pushing you out. She was crying now. Real tears, not the performative crying I'd seen at the wedding. I humiliated you at my wedding. I pointed to that door and told you to leave because I was so desperate to control everything, to make everything perfect for my image, that I couldn't see how monstrous I was being. And when Michael stood up for you, when he showed the kind of character I claimed to value but actually feared, I tried to destroy him. Yes, you did. I'm not asking for forgiveness, I don't deserve it, but I wanted you to know I'm different now. Or at least I'm trying to be. I volunteer at a women's shelter. I'm working with people who have nothing, who have lost everything, and I'm learning to see them as human beings worthy of respect. Not charity cases, not people beneath me, just people. That's good, Amanda. I'm glad you're growing. There's something else. My father, he's the reason I became who I was. He raised me to believe that wealth made us superior, that people who worked service jobs or didn't have money were less than us. I'm in family therapy with him now, too. He's struggling with it, but he's trying. Why are you really here, Amanda? She took a deep breath. Because I'm getting married to someone new, someone completely different from Michael, someone who calls me out when I'm being entitled or cruel. And before I get married again, I needed to face what I did the first time. I needed to look you in the eye and tell you that you were right about everything. You're getting married. Yes, his name is David. He's a high school teacher, makes $50,000 a year, drives a 10-year-old car, and he's the best man I've ever met because he doesn't let me get away with anything. He demands that I be better. Does he know what happened with Michael? He knows everything. I showed him the interview, the social media posts, all of it, and he said if I wanted to be with him, I had to do the work to become someone different, someone who treats people with respect regardless of their income or status. I'm happy for you, Amanda, truly. Will you come to my wedding? I was shocked. You want me at your wedding? I want to show you that I've changed, that I can have a wedding where the groom's mother is honored and respected. Catherine, I know I hurt Michael terribly. I know you probably hate me. But I'm asking, not for forgiveness, but for the chance to show you I'm not that person anymore. I need to think about it and talk to Michael. I understand. Thank you for hearing me out. After Amanda left, I sat there processing what had just happened. The woman who'd pointed at the door and told me to leave was now inviting me to her next wedding. When I told Michael, his reaction surprised me. You should go. What, really? Mom, Amanda spent 6 months doing real work on herself. That's more than most people do after screwing up. If she's genuinely changed, we should acknowledge that. You're not angry that she's getting married. No, I'm relieved. If Amanda's found someone who makes her better, that's great. It means my decision to call off our wedding was the right one for both of us. Are you going to her wedding? Absolutely not. That would be weird. But you're not her ex. You're just a woman she wronged who she's trying to make amends to. If you want to go, go. I don't know if I want to. Then don't decide yet. Think about it. I thought about it for 3 weeks. Finally, I called Amanda. I'll come to your wedding, but not because I forgive you. I'm not there yet. I'm coming because I want to see if you've really changed. Thank you, Catherine. That's more than I deserve. Amanda's second wedding was nothing like her first. It was held in a small community center, not a grand church. There were 50 guests, not 200. The decorations were simple, wildflowers and string lights instead of elaborate roses and candelabras. And when I arrived, Amanda greeted me at the door personally. Catherine, thank you so much for coming. Can I introduce you to David? David was tall, kind-faced, with laugh lines around his eyes. He shook my hand warmly. Mrs. Wells, Amanda has told me so much about you, about what happened at the first wedding, and about how you showed incredible strength by refusing to be dismissed. I have tremendous respect for that. Thank you. I also want you to know I watched Amanda work through what she did. I've seen her cry over the pain she caused. I've watched her do the hard work of changing. She's not perfect. She still has moments of entitlement, but she's genuinely trying to be better. That's good to hear. The ceremony was beautiful in its simplicity. David's mother was escorted down the aisle by a groomsman and seated in the front row with honor. Amanda's mother, Patricia, was also there, looking genuinely happy. During the ceremony, David spoke his own vows. Amanda, I love you, but I also challenge you. I won't let you be cruel or dismissive or entitled. I promise to call you out when you're wrong and celebrate you when you're right. I promise to love you enough to demand that you be your best self. Amanda's vows were equally powerful. David, I was a terrible person when we met. You saw through my wealth and status to the broken, insecure person underneath. You didn't let me hide behind money or family connections. You demanded that I be real. And in being real, I found something I'd never had before, genuine self-respect. Not based on what I owned or who my father was, but based on how I treated people. I promised to keep growing, to keep learning. To never again treat people as less than me because of their circumstances. After the ceremony, Amanda approached me. Thank you for coming. It means more than you know. Your vows were good, honest. I meant every word. Catherine, I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure I never do anything like that again. That's all any of us can do. Learn from our mistakes and do better. As I was leaving, Patricia stopped me. Catherine, seeing you here today, after everything Amanda did to you, it's remarkable. I'm not here to absolve her. I'm here to witness whether she's changed. Has she, in your eyes? She's trying, that's a start. Driving home, I thought about the journey from that first wedding to this second one. 6 months ago, Amanda had pointed at a door and told me to leave. Today, she'd personally welcomed me to her wedding. People could change, not easily, not quickly, but genuinely. When I got home, Michael was waiting at my house. How was it? Different. Amanda seems different. Do you forgive her? Not yet, maybe someday, but I respect that she's doing the work. That's fair. Mom, can I tell you something? Of course. I ran into Brian yesterday. He told me something interesting. Apparently, what happened at my non-wedding has become kind of legendary in our social circle. Legendary how? As the story of the mother of the groom who refused to be bullied. Brian said at least 3 of our friends have had conversations with their fiancés about treating future in-laws with respect because of what happened with us. Really? Yeah, you started something, Mom. You showed people that you don't have to accept being treated badly, that standing up for yourself matters, even when it's hard. I just didn't want to leave my son's wedding. You did more than that. You showed me who I wanted to be, and apparently you showed a lot of other people too. We spent the evening talking about everything that had happened over the past 6 months. The chaos, the pain, the growth. Do you have any regrets? Michael asked. About what? About not just leaving the church when Amanda told you to. About causing a scene. About any of it. I thought carefully about that question. No, I don't regret it. If I'd left, I would have spent the rest of my life wondering if I should have stood up for myself. If I should have demanded respect instead of accepting dismissal. Yes, it caused chaos. Yes, it was public and uncomfortable. But it also changed everything. For both of us. You saved me from a terrible marriage. You saved yourself. I just refused to be erased. You're the one who made the hard choice. We both made hard choices, and we both came out better for it. 2 months after Amanda's second wedding, I received a letter from her. Not an email or text, an actual handwritten letter. Dear Catherine, I wanted to write to thank you again for coming to my wedding. Seeing you there, after everything I did, showed me something important. Grace doesn't mean accepting bad treatment. It means being willing to witness change when someone genuinely attempts it. David and I are very happy. He continues to challenge me to be better. Last week, I was rude to a server at a restaurant. Old habits die hard. David immediately called me out. We left, and I went back the next day to apologize to the server in person and leave a generous tip. That might seem like a small thing, but for me, it's huge. Old Amanda would never have admitted being wrong to a server. I'm also still working at the women's shelter. I've formed genuine friendships with women there. Women I would have looked down on a year ago. They've taught me more about strength and resilience than anyone from my old social circle ever did. I wanted you to know something else. I've started speaking at workshops about social class prejudice. I tell my story, about how I was raised to believe wealth made me superior, about how I treated you, about how Michael's decision to call off our wedding was the wake-up call I needed. It's humbling and uncomfortable, but it's important. Several women have approached me after these workshops to say that they recognize themselves in my story, that they've been treating people with less money or status with disrespect, and they're going to change. Catherine, your refusal to leave that church, it's creating ripples. You're changing more than just me. I don't expect us to ever be friends. I hurt you and Michael too deeply for that. But I hope you know I'm grateful. Grateful that you stood up for yourself. Grateful that Michael chose you over me. Grateful that I was forced to confront who I'd become. Thank you for showing me what real strength looks like. With genuine respect. Amanda. I showed the letter to Michael. She's really doing the work, he said, sounding surprised. It seems like it. Does it change how you feel about her? A little. I'm not ready to forgive her completely, but I can respect her effort to change. That's probably the best outcome we could have hoped for. 1 year after the non-wedding, Michael started dating again. He was cautious, understandably, but open to finding love. What are you looking for? I asked him one evening. Someone kind, someone who treats everyone with respect, regardless of their job or income. Someone who would never, ever point at you and tell you to leave. That seems like a reasonable baseline. It's amazing how much clarity you get after almost marrying the wrong person. 6 months later, Michael introduced me to Sarah. She was a pediatric nurse, the same profession I'd had. She was warm, funny, and she lit up when Michael talked about me. Your son is so proud of you, she told me at our first meeting. He talks about you constantly, about how you raised him alone, about your strength, about the wedding incident. He told you about that. Of course, he said it was the most important moment of his life, the moment he realized what actually mattered. What did you think when he told you? I thought his mother must be an incredible woman, and I was right. I liked Sarah immediately, not just because she was kind to me, but because she brought out the best in Michael. She made him laugh. She challenged him to think differently. And most importantly, she treated everyone, servers, janitors, cashiers, with the same respect she treated wealthy clients at the hospital. This one's different, I told Michael after meeting Sarah for the 3rd time. Very different. Mom, I think she might be the one. How do you know? Because when I imagine my future, she's in it. And when I imagine our wedding, the first thing I think about is making sure you're honored and celebrated. That's how I know she's right for me. 2 years after the non-wedding, Michael proposed to Sarah. She said yes. And when they started planning their wedding, the first thing Sarah said was, "Your mother needs to be involved. In everything. This is her son's wedding too." I helped Sarah choose her dress. I was consulted on the venue, the flowers, the menu. Sarah asked me to give a toast at the reception. Are you sure? I asked. That's not traditional. Neither is what you did at Michael's first wedding. But it was brave and right. I want everyone at our wedding to know how much Michael's mother means to us. The wedding was beautiful, small and intimate, just 75 guests. Sarah's family and friends, Michael's colleagues, and my friends, the ones I'd never been allowed to invite to the first wedding. During the ceremony, when the officiant asked who gives the bride away, Sarah's father stood up. Then the officiant said something unexpected. And who stands with the groom? I stood up. Michael had asked me to. His mother stands with him, I said clearly. As she always has, as she always will. There wasn't a dry eye in the church. At the reception, When it was time for toasts, I spoke. 2 years ago, I stood in a different church for Michael's first wedding. And that day, I was told to leave. I was told I wasn't welcome, that my presence was unwanted. The guests who'd been at the first wedding shifted uncomfortably. But I didn't leave. I stood my ground. I refused to be erased. And my son, my wonderful, principled son, stood with me. He chose integrity over a wedding. He chose me over someone who didn't respect me. I looked at Michael and Sarah, both crying. Today, I'm standing in this church watching Michael marry someone completely different. Someone who welcomed me from day one. Someone who values what really matters: kindness, respect, love. Sarah, you are everything I hoped my son would find. You don't just accept me, you celebrate me. You see me as a person, not an inconvenience. Michael, I'm so proud of you. Not just for the man you've become, but for the choices you've made. 2 years ago, you made the hardest choice of your life. You walked away from a wedding because it was the right thing to do. Today, you're walking into a marriage with someone who will never make you choose between love and integrity. Because with Sarah, you get both. To Michael and Sarah, may your marriage be built on mutual respect, genuine love, and the kind of strength that comes from doing what's right, even when it's hard. The reception was perfect. I danced with Michael. I talked with Sarah's family. I laughed with friends. And as I watched Michael and Sarah have their first dance, I thought about everything that had happened since that day Amanda pointed at the door. She'd expected me to leave, to disappear quietly, to accept being erased. She'd expected me to put up with humiliation for the sake of keeping the peace. But I hadn't left. I'd stood my ground, and that decision had changed everything. It had ended Michael's first engagement. It had caused public chaos. It had led to media attention and social media drama. But it had also shown Michael what real love looked like, what real respect looked like, what real integrity looked like. And it had led to this, a wedding where I was honored, celebrated, and valued. Sometimes the hardest thing you can do is refuse to accept bad treatment. Sometimes standing your ground means causing a scene, creating chaos, disrupting carefully laid plans. But sometimes that disruption is exactly what's needed. Amanda had pointed to the door, confident I'd leave. She hadn't expected what happened next. She hadn't expected me to stay, to speak up, to demand respect. She hadn't expected Michael to choose me over her. And she definitely hadn't expected that her cruelty would become the catalyst for her own transformation and Michael's eventual happiness. Later that evening, as the reception was winding down, Sarah pulled me aside. "Catherine, thank you." "For what?" "For raising the man I married, for teaching him about integrity, and for showing him and me that standing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. You would have figured that out without me." "Maybe, but your example made it clearer. Michael told me that when he's faced with a difficult decision, he asks himself, what would Mom do? And the answer is always, she'd do the right thing even if it's hard. I didn't do anything special. I just refused to leave my son's wedding." "You did something extraordinary. You refused to be diminished. That's not common, Catherine. Most people would have left quietly to avoid confrontation. You stayed. You fought. You won. We all won, even Amanda eventually." As I drove home that night, I thought about the woman I'd been 2 years ago, standing in that church, watching a bride point at the door. I could have left. It would have been easier, less dramatic, less painful. But I would have lost myself in the process. By staying, I'd kept my dignity. I'd shown my son what real strength looked like, and I'd started a chain of events that led to genuine change for Michael, for Amanda, and for me. Amanda had pointed to the door at the ceremony. She'd expected me to leave, but I'd done something she never expected. I'd stayed. And in staying, I'd changed everything. 3 years after the non-wedding, I received one final piece of correspondence from Amanda, a birth announcement. David and Amanda Lawrence Morrison are pleased to announce the birth of their daughter, Catherine Grace Morrison, born March 15th, 7 pounds 2 Oz. Named in honor of the woman who showed us what real strength looks like. I cried when I read it, not because I'd fully forgiven Amanda. Forgiveness was still a work in progress, but because it showed something important. Change was possible, growth was possible, and sometimes the hardest moments lead to the most important transformations. Amanda had tried to erase me. Instead, my name would live on in her daughter. The universe had a sense of irony. And I had learned something I'd never forget. You teach people how to treat you. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for others is refuse to accept less than you deserve. Even when, especially when, it means standing in a church while a bride points to the door and demanding to be seen.